Prince Charles, the abdication. And I was very conscious all the time that I had to keep up with you were conscious of the fact that she had become the sovereign, and you accorded her the sort of respect that was her due. The relationships with the sovereign and how important.
Tradition, responsibility, and silent personal sacrifices have long been woven into the fabric of the royal family. However, few scenes are as heartwarming as the most recent one from Buckingham Palace. The Duke of Kent, who is now 90 years old, and clearly weak after the death of his cherished wife, made a statement in a heartbreaking video that had an impact well beyond his home's boundaries. He announced his intention to resign from his long-standing positions in a steady but emotionally charged voice, giving important duties and a piece of his legacy to Catherine, the Princess of Wales, the royal he has always liked the most, and whom he commended for her excellent devotion to the throne. This was no typical statement. It occurred while the monarchy was going through its own changes, with King Charles III placing a strong emphasis on effectiveness and relevance in the contemporary world. Despite decades of faithful service, the effects of aging and loss are now indisputable for Prince Edward, the Duke. After 64 years of marriage, his wife passed away in September 2025, leaving him vulnerable and inspiring thoughts about succession and legacy. Why give up such symbolic significance at this time? What does it mean for the institution he has dedicated his life to preserving? The Duke of Kent has long been a steady presence in the background of royal life, frequently eclipsed by more well-known family members, but essential to his duties. The traumas of World War II and the demands of his family influenced his feeling of duty from an early age. He was born in 1935 as the son of Prince George, Duke of Kent, and Princess Marina of Greece and Denmark. Before entering a life of public appearances, patronage, and ceremonial responsibilities, he served in the military for more than 20 years, including active duty in Hong Kong and Cyprus. In contrast to the direct heirs, he followed a path of silent assistance, exemplifying the unsung bravery that sustains the monarchy. Nonetheless, the Duke seemed thoughtful while sitting in the comfortable surroundings of his Kensington Palace apartment in this video, which was published on October 9, 2025, to mark his 90th birthday. The straightforward and unadorned video depicted a guy who has sacrificed everything for his nation and is now prepared to take over. He expressed his confidence in Catherine and emphasized her commitment to subjects that are quite similar to his own lifelong interests, such as early childhood development, mental health, and military welfare. This is not merely a personal gesture. It highlights a change in strategy, guaranteeing continuity in the face of the royal family's changing dynamics. The video generated a lot of conversation as it circulated on news sites and social media. Compared to the active soldier of his youth, the Duke appeared weak to royal observers, his hands shaking slightly as he conveyed his message. The announcement is made at a critical juncture, as the monarchy is being questioned about its scope and significance. The Duke is essentially strengthening Catherine's status as a potential queen consort by giving her control over some of his assets, such as symbolic assets from his estate, and supervision of specific charitable trusts. However, there is a deeper tale of resiliency, grief, and the human side of royalty hidden beneath the surface. One must first acknowledge the Duke of Kent's extraordinary journey through nearly a century of service. In order to fully understand the significance of this news, he has seen the abdication crisis, the post-war reconstruction, and the constant scrutiny of the digital era as the longest-serving monarch in modern history. He has served with unflinching dedication in a variety of capacities, including Colonel and Chief of the Royal Scots Dragoon Guards, and Grand Master of the United Grand Lodge of England. These weren't just titles. By cultivating relationships with military veterans, non-profits, and international diplomacy, they served as a link between the monarchy's past and present. But among palace circles, the Duke's health has been a silent worry in recent years. He will turn 90 on October 9, 2025, and has reduced his public appearances due to the inherent limitations of aging. According to family sources, he is becoming more and more dependent on assistance due to mobility problems, and the psychological stress of bereavement is making his health worse. A significant turning point was the death of his wife Catherine, Duchess of Kent, on September 4, 2025, at the age of 92. The couple's renowned bond was created during their 1961 wedding, which combined true love with nobility. Even though the Duchess passed away peacefully at Kensington Palace, the Duke was devastated, as seen by his tearful attendance at her funeral on September 16, 2025, in Westminster Cathedral. Their common life of service and religion was demonstrated by the burial itself. The Prince and Princess of Wales, King Charles III, and other family members were there. As the first royal to convert to Catholicism since the 17th century, it emphasized the Duchess of Kent's unusual journey. Her modest demeanor and support of Wimbledon, where she consoled players and exemplified calm grace, were commended in her Guardian obituary. The Duke's thoughts on mortality and legacy have become more intense after he lost his partner of more than 60 years. He has been taking his time with his daughter, Lady Helen Taylor, according to royal analysts like Tatler, confirming plans for a more quiet existence before his milestone birthday. This vulnerability has depth on an emotional level in addition to being bodily. The Duke returned to duty with a quiet determination on October 8, 2025, with a moving first public appearance following Catherine's passing. Insiders, however, indicate that the video announcement was pre-planned, a conscious decision to address his succession while he was still able to do so. He conveys confidence in the next generation by concentrating on Catherine, especially in a lady who has handled her own health issues with grace. Her successful return to duty after overcoming cancer in 2024 has further enhanced her reputation, which makes her a perfect fit for his support. This weakness is captured in the footage that was released through the royal family's official channels. In it, the Duke recalls the impact of his wife and gives her credit for his perseverance. This personal touch makes the announcement more relatable and turns it from a simple handover into a sincere homage. The Duke's choice guarantees that his contributions will live on, passed on to someone he considers a shining example of contemporary royalty as the monarchy adjusts to having fewer working royals. The Duke's last years have been clouded by the death of the Duchess of Kent, which has intensified the feeling that an era is coming to an end. Beyond being a consort, the Duchess of Kent was more. Throughout the decades of his public life, she was a partner in every way, sharing his joys and sorrows. Despite deviating from several customary royal customs, her 1994 conversion to Catholicism, as reported by the National Catholic Register, was a daring move that demonstrated her strong religious beliefs. The pair was able to maintain some sense of normalcy after they decided to leave their full-time jobs in 2002, but her death has left the Duke grieving alone. According to health reports from publications such as the Daily Mail, the Duke was profoundly affected, and his attendance at the burial evoked a great deal of sympathy. He was assisted by family during the service, and his grief was evident as he said goodbye at the age of 89. This loss comes at the same time as more general royal difficulties, such as King Charles's personal health issues and the streamlined building he has in mind. As a result, the Duke's video functions as a tactical maneuver, as well as an emotional catharsis, guaranteeing that his roles continue to develop under capable leadership. Shared values are the foundation of Catherine's choice. In keeping with the Duchess of Kent's Wimbledon heritage, the princess has accepted patronages such as the All England Lawn Tennis Club, and her work with military families is reminiscent of the Duke's service. He specifically highlights her excellent performance in her royal duties in the video, complimenting her fortitude and empathy. With fewer royals like the Duke resigning, there is concern about the monarchy's viability in light of this endorsement. The actual video is a masterwork of subtle royal communication. It begins with archive footage of the Duke in his peak, before switching to his present seated address, and it lasts for slightly under 5 minutes. It coincides with King Charles's unexpected declaration of a lavish celebration on his 90th birthday. According to Jong, in it, the Duke describes his intention to give Catherine control over a number of trusts and patronages, including elements of his charitable endowments and military connections. The Duke makes mention to family treasures and money connected to his properties. Even though wealth in royal terminology frequently refers to symbolic goods rather than actual wealth, here, power means having sway over groups that he has supported, such as the Stroke Association and engineering associations. According to YouTube analysis of such handovers, he guarantees continuity by giving these to Catherine. Catherine was specifically chosen to be the future queen. She stands for steadiness. After her discovery, her popularity skyrocketed. The Duke refers to her as the monarch I have always adored, setting a pleasant tone for the video. Years of observation led to a familial bond. One of the mainstays of the contemporary monarchy is Catherine, Princess of Wales. Her responsibilities are growing as her family changes, beginning with her early support of children's hospices and continuing with well-known projects like the Royal Foundation Centre for Early Childhood. She is the epitome of proactive service. Her 2025 commitments, such as Wimbledon and Trooping the Colour, demonstrate her recuperation and commitment. This is emphasised by the Duke's announcement, which casts her in the role of a tradition keeper. Her attendance at the Duchess's funeral is highlighted in express reports, highlighting the importance of family ties. Catherine's acceptance of these positions increases her legitimacy and relieves pressure on older royals. This transfer shows how the monarchy has adjusted to modern times. As mentioned in Town and Country, the institution gains efficiency, but loses a veteran with the Duke's retirement. By redistributing responsibilities, Catherine may help people like Princess Anne avoid burnout. Additionally, it defies notions of internal conflict by indicating generational trust. In order to maintain the relevance of the throne, the movie might encourage other royals to carefully consider succession planning. In addition to being a practical transfer, the Duke of Kent's choice to assign Catherine, the Princess of Wales, important duties is a profoundly symbolic gesture that is ingrained in the complex relationships within the Kent family and the larger royal line. This occasion calls for a more thorough analysis of how family decisions, past and present, have shaped the monarchy's future, demonstrating a fine balance between custom and personal initiative. While the Duke's declaration in his moving October 2025 video has historical resonance, it also marks a contemporary advancement in royal succession planning. Being on the outskirts of the monarchy's spotlight for a long time has allowed the Kent family to establish unique identities. Born Prince Edward in 1935, the Duke gained his title at the age of 6, following the death of his father, Prince George, Duke of Kent, in a 1942 plane crash while serving in the armed forces. Young Edward was forced into a position of responsibility far sooner than expected as a result of this tragedy, establishing a standard of resiliency. that has characterized his life. Much like Prince Edward and Sophie, Duke and Duchess of Edinburgh, did with their children, James, Earl of Wessex, and Lady Louise Windsor, his children, George, Earl of St. Andrews, Lady Helen Taylor, and Lord Nicholas Windsor, have mostly decided to follow courses outside the conventional royal framework. This tendency to put individual liberty ahead of civic obligation is similar to the Duke's own parenting style, which aims to instill a sense of normalcy in his family, despite their aristocratic heritage. George, the present Earl of St. Andrews, for example, has kept a low profile while pursuing a career in academia and diplomacy, working as a trustee for a number of charitable organizations. Former fashion ambassador Lady Helen has also adopted a lifestyle that combines independence and privilege, seldom seen in formal royal roles, but frequently at cultural events. Lord Nicholas has further separated himself from royal responsibilities by concentrating on his family and personal pursuits. After becoming a Catholic like his mother, Catherine, Duchess of Kent, by letting their kids avoid the close scrutiny that senior royals endure, the Duke and Duchess of Kent fostered a deliberate change that is reflected in their decisions. This is similar to how Prince Edward and Sophie prepared James and Louise for independent lives by purposefully avoiding HR titles for them, as the BBC reported in 2020.